Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers draft category franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode we had the season simulation and we took a pretty huge leap forward, I would say, in terms of winning games and being an actual competitive team. As you can see, we finished 37, 41, and 4, which was our best season by far. And we also got a decent amount of offense from a lot of our top guys. Good depth scoring, I'd say, as well, because guys like Festerini picked up points. Zikov obviously dropped down in points, but his face-off numbers were unreal. Like, this guy is a face-off god, 57% on the draw. And a lot of our guys that are actually at center, like Keith as well, and Parrott, who plays on the wing, above 50%. Also, Jorgensen, who plays the wing, is above 50%. But we still don't have, I guess, a lot of guys that can win above 50% on the draw. But at least it seems like our top guys can, which is pretty important in a sense to get offense going. Our goaltenders are also pretty impressive. As you can see, Harry Neal had a pretty good season with 4 shutouts at 2.82 goals against average. So hopefully he could also do that again in the next coming seasons, because he is up for renewal, and we're probably going to have to give him a decent contract, I'd say, just because of the fact we could lose him to free agency in a few years if we keep on qualifying him and stuff like that. So but yeah, hopefully we could get him back for another couple of years at least with this team, because of the fact that we do still have that young goaltender in the AHL. So before we get into the draft and picking up some more important depth pieces for our offensive core or our defensive core 1 and 2, we do have a couple comments to go over, or actually quite a few comments to go over. So the first one is from Tyler Rempato. He says, I'd say go with the playmaker. You don't really have a ton of them, and the sniper is a center, which isn't good for us snipers. So he's saying to go with, because we jumped up to the 2nd overall pick, he's saying to go with Xavier Dingman here, who is the left wing playmaker. He looks pretty good. He is also listed as a gem. He's listed as like a Patrick Kane type of player, so that's pretty interesting. And it doesn't guarantee that he actually has a zone ability, but he should be probably a pretty good player out of the draft. The next comment is from Cadillac. He says, within 2 seasons, this team should be a playoff contender. I think the only real problem with the team is 3rd and 4th line depth, which is pretty much exactly what I was thinking as well. Because if we look at our roster here on our forward core, you can see we have like a legit top 6, I would say, almost. Festerini is a little bit weak for the top 6, but he will do because he actually produces. But then our bottom 6, like Claxton's starting to get to being like kind of like a 4th liner, which is great. Cox as well, but then you got guys like Hall, Vallette. Like, it's not the best depth in terms of offense, so hopefully we could address that going forward. But the defensive core is coming together quite well. Like Strachan, for example, is an actual top 6 defenseman. All these guys are actual top 4s, I'd say. And then Farrell could honestly be a top 6 defenseman next season, or even Kalinin, or Cronwall still might be here. If Cronwall's not, then Cronwall might be one of these guys that we have to use as like a depth defenseman. And then our goaltending combination is also starting to pan out, which is really nice. So the team is definitely starting to take form. The next 2 comments are from Rebecca Weiss-Woods. The first one says, Dingman is who I would pick first, but we don't need any centers, and Dingman is a left wing playmaker who I think would be great as a 2nd line left wing. We have good kids coming up on defense, but they're lacking forward depth, so I think this draft might be forward heavy. Not sure if you have the if you should draft channel icon names, as they might not pan out. So we were looking at some channel icon names, because there was like a guy with the last name Jaskalainen. But yeah, he might not pan out. But if we have to take him around our stage, we might honestly just do that, because of that good shooting category, but he might not be that good. But Dingman is the suggestion to go with for our first pick again. So that's 2 votes for Dingman. So that's more for like the 2nd line left wing spot, which is interesting. Looks like he could score goals too, which is interesting. So he might be able to add that offensive touch as well. So that would be good, definitely. The other comment from Rebecca says, great season. Next year I predict 41 wins, a few points shy of the playoffs, but that's okay. Once we start winning at home, we'll be a great playoff contender for years to come. Even though Zikov's numbers dropped, I wouldn't be too concerned because of his amazing face-off stats. So yeah, that's what I was saying with Zikov. I think it doesn't really matter that he's not picking up as much points. Like, obviously we're paying him quite a bit though, but his face-off numbers are definitely giving his team a chance to get offense going, which is very important. And predicting 41 wins next season, I think we're definitely going to hit 40 wins next season, because we're literally just adding another good young piece into this lineup, and this team already hit 37 wins this season without a young piece coming in. So I'd say we're definitely due for at least probably 40 wins next season for sure. It'd be interesting to see if this team makes the playoffs or not. Next comment is from Christopher Davis. He says, be careful of the 2 tick low leads in the early second round with gem status, because a lot of the times those are just low top 6s. I see a case for drafting a playmaker at number 2, but I'd go with Hartnell because I think you still needed an added scoring touch, or you need an added scoring touch. So he's saying though that he could see the case for drafting Dingman. So that's almost 3 votes, like you could say 2.5 votes. But he is saying to go with Ricardo Hartnell, who is the sniper. This guy is a little bit worse overall wise, as you can see. Like the physical category is not as good as Dingman's is, probably because he's only 5'8", this guy. But this guy has really good shooting, and he does have some weaknesses, which is interesting, while Xavier Dingman does not. So, but he's saying to go with the center sniper, and we could use him as a winger, I guess, but it would be kind of out of his position. But it's kind of weird that he's listed as a sniper, yet he has a similar style to Mikko Koivu, because Mikko Koivu, in my opinion, is a two-way forward, not a sniper. So but yeah, his vote was for Hartnell, so we got like 2 votes for Dingman, 1 vote for Hartnell. Next comment is from HockeyGuy88. He says, I think it would be a good idea to bring in another elite sniper for your second or even first line if he becomes better than Parrott. So I think you should go with Hartnell. So he's saying Hartnell. There's also 3 people that thumbs that up. I don't know if any of them were like Christopher Davis or who else, but it seems like a lot of people also want me to go for Ricardo Hartnell. So I honestly might go with Hartnell just because of the fact that we could definitely use more goal scoring. But also I can see the case for Dingman, because Dingman's definitely the better overall of the 2 players. Like you got 2 A pluses, 3 regular A's, and an A minus. Well, here you got 1 A plus, 3 A minuses, 1 A, and a B. So I think definitely Xavier Dingman's the better of the 2. So I'm almost leaning towards Dingman, because I might honestly make my own decision instead of doing a wheel spin. Because I feel like for some reason Xavier Dingman, like, I feel like he could score goals. Like, he might honestly be kind of like a Tyler Agostino that we had in Arizona back in NHL 22, just because I know he was a left-wing playmaker as well. Like, he honestly might be able to produce on a very good level in terms of scoring goals as well. So, if we put him next to somebody that could score or pass the puck and whatnot too. So, I don't know. It's going to be a very tough decision who we go with, I think. Next comment is from Yanni Pekka Savinas. He says, well, that was unexpected with the young D-core. Absolutely fantastic season. Most surprising to me was Neil. Of any player, those X factors are really starting to kick in, and according to those power play stats. Jorgensen's maybe Alaska's own Mark Stone with those takeaways. And then once those D-men get a little bit more experience and the plus minuses are more even, you should easily get 45 to 48 wins in a couple seasons. So yeah, basically once the depth starts getting better because of the plus minus stuff, those lines will start to even out and all be in the pluses instead of having like a lot of minus lines. Like the 4th line I think wasn't really that great plus minus wise, but I could be wrong with that. And then also, yeah, Jorgensen was kind of like Mark Stone in a sense with the takeaway numbers from last season. So that's kind of interesting that Jorgensen's doing pretty good at takeaways as a winger, because if we look at his takeaway numbers here from last season, you can see that he had 98 takeaways, which is pretty good as a winger. Hopefully he cracks like 100 and stuff like that, because he could honestly end up winning like a Selke at some point, I would assume. But he doesn't take a lot of face-offs, so that might honestly knock him out of the Selke contention. And the last and final comment is from Saturn Otaku, who says, this was a very successful season with Taser Cox as your backup next season and some added additions to the bottom 6. I think you could be a playoff team as early as next season. So yeah, we do have a decision in terms of who we want to play as our goaltender next season behind Harry Neal. As you can see, Cox, the youngster who we recently drafted, played 1 year already in the AHL. He's only 18, and he was actually pretty solid, I would say, in that AHL season. But there also was a good goalie in the AHL, and that being the French starter in Aiden Tays, who had an incredible season with a .916 save percentage and a 2.55 goals against average, while Carlson, who was the other goalie in the AHL, was nowhere near as good. So, or actually, no, Carlson wasn't in the NHL. It was Cox that was also in the AHL. Cox was nowhere near as good, I'd say, with the .903 save percentage. So, it's like, I think Tays honestly could be a better backup right now, but honestly, if Cox is getting a lot of growth and he's like a 78, obviously we're going to be playing him because he is the better of the 2 goalies overall-wise and potential-wise and all that type of thing. But Tays is definitely making a strong case for himself to being an NHL goalie soon. I might honestly not qualify Carlson just because of the fact we also do have Duncan, who should be playing because of the elite potential, but he's probably not going to reach it since he's already 23. But anyways, let's get into this offseason because that was a lot of work to deal with. So a lot of comments that we had. So let's get into this draft. And who do I want to take at number 2 though, is the question. I would hope that St. Louis somehow overskips the franchise player, but that's never going to happen really that often. So we're definitely not going to get Bieksa, but it comes down to Hartnell or Dingman. Our scouts are recommending us Hartnell, probably just because of the fact that he's one spot above. I don't know if it's actually because of our needs. So I honestly, I might leave it up to a wheel spin again. Let me open up a wheel spinner. But I think Dingman honestly might be my option. If I was going to choose right on my own, I think I would go with Dingman just because both of them have good face-off stats already. Or not face-off stats, shooting stats. So let me just put them on a wheel spinner. And I might not go with what the wheel spinner says. We'll see. So we'll go with Hartnell and we will go with Dingman in the draft there. And let me spin my wheel. You guys won't be able to see the wheel, but let's see, what is the wheel thinking? Is he thinking the same lines as I am? He's saying Hartnell. Interesting. Okay, I think we're going to go with Hartnell. The wheel has decided. I think going with what the wheel says would probably be the best option. So I think we're going to go with Hartnell, even though I think Dingman could honestly be... I think Dingman's going to be definitely the better of the two overall-wise. Is he going to be the better player this season? I don't know, really. Is he going to be the better player in a few seasons? I don't know either, so... It's definitely a tough call, but I think we're just going to go with what the wheel said, because the wheel has didn't fail me with our last time when we used it, which I think it was for when we grabbed Keith, and Keith has really developed to being a really good player. So let's see who St. Louis takes at number 1. Are they going to take the franchise player? Yes, they are, of course. 82 overall, medium franchise playmaker. There he is, Zach Bieksa. So there you go, St. Louis. Really good player there at number 1. And we will take the sniper in Ricardo Hartnell, just to give us a little bit more depth scoring on like the second line, because he's technically, actually wait, I'm trying to think, do I go with Hartnell? Because I'm thinking now that it might make sense still to go with the left winger, because if we let me go offer trade for a second so we can actually see our roster, because if we're looking at our left wingers right now, yeah, Bickle is definitely unanimous number 1 top liner. Festorini's been good offensively, but he's more of a third-line option at this stage. So Festorini might honestly get dropped to the third line if we were to bring in the left winger, which I think would definitely help us. And we do actually have a lot of guys that play center already. Or we have 4 guys that play center already, so... Well, Pear doesn't actually really play center. Interesting. I mean, I could play both of them at left wing. It doesn't matter who I choose. I think I could play both of them as a left winger. Because, yeah, Hartnell's also a left-handed shot. So, and I'd probably play him on the wing instead of at center, because center snipers aren't really the best. So, yeah, we're going to go with what the wheel spin said. Never mind about that. But Dingman's definitely going to be the better overall-wise, I'd say. So, Ricardo Hartnell, welcome over to Alaska in Anchorage. 80 overall, medium elite sniper. And he does have some X factors. There's his shooting categories, which look pretty good out of the gate. He's actually got some solid defensive awareness for a sniper, which is nice. And this is also in case, this is like kind of like in case we end up losing Parrot, I think it was, or was it the other sniper? Or was it another sniper? I don't remember, but in case we end up losing one of our snipers and stuff like that, or goal scorers, we have Hartnell at least to build around as well. He says make it snappy, close quarters, and snipe, while he also has very good skating with the wheels, zone ability. So there you go. There's Ricardo Hartnell. Interesting. So Carolina's going to get Dingman in. Yep, Dingman see a little bit better overall-wise. According to this, maybe no zone ability, but we don't know that for sure. But, yeah, he's a pretty good all-around player, this guy. Very solid defensive stats as well for a playmaker, so... Yeah, this guy could honestly be kind of like an Agostino, so I was debating about taking him, but I guess Hartnell will help us out in terms of depth scoring, which is more important. We might honestly start him as a third-line left winger and then move him up to the second line just in case, just to get Festorini some more ice time early on in the year. We'll see how Hartnell does early into his career. Let's sim to our next pick and see what we could get in the second round here. There's Cutler, who's a left winger, Pat Cutler. 4-year ETA. I might honestly take him because we could use more offensive depth like you guys are saying. There's also some top 6 guys like Reiner Grice, but he's more of just a pure shooter and that's it. so I don't know if he'll really develop anywhere else. There is a gem there in Trenton Mills. Did I pin anybody else for the second round? I probably did, right? I did. Okay, so there is Danner, who looks really good. I don't really need more defensemen is the only problem. Well, I do need more defenders, obviously, at some stage, but yeah, this draft has a lot of interesting players. Danner's definitely going to be a really good defenseman, and he's like 3 years ETA, so he's maybe a top 4. I think I got to go with Ryan Danner here, honestly. Even though Cutler, honestly, could be a really solid ad, though. Like, if Cutler's a low elite, that would be a really great ad for the offensive core, and he's a sniper as well. I think I gotta leave this one up to a wheel spin as well. Got to get that wheel spin open and fast, because we do not have a lot of time to make our pick. But yeah, I think I gotta leave this one up to a wheel spinner as well here. Just because I feel like, honestly, Danner's definitely gonna help us out in terms of our defensive depth, even though we don't really need that. And then Cutler could honestly fit into our lineup like as soon as possible in the bottom 6. So I don't know. I feel like Cutler would definitely be the better of the 2 options in terms of what we need. But I'm going to put it up to a wheel spin just in case. See if they're thinking around the same lines as what I'm thinking. Which they're saying the defenseman. They are saying the defenseman. So he's supposed to go later. We don't have obviously another pick in this stage because we don't trade for picks. But it looks like he has a really good pro release for a defenseman, which is interesting. So he might honestly be an OFD. Yeah, I'm going in with Danner here. Danner's the unanimous, like, overall-wise, better overalls. Cutler would definitely help us out, but I think Danner could help us with some more offense from the back end. So we'll take him. Low lead 64 offensive defenseman. Let's go. That's exactly what I wanted. And look at those zone abilities. God damn. That is a huge steal there in the second round. Obviously, his offensive awareness and stuff like that definitely needs some work. But if this guy gets a lot of growth and grows really quickly, he could easily be a very important piece to this team's future. Seeing eyes, his zone ability, off the rush, heat seeker, thunderclap, elite edges, and spinorama. So this guy is a very good shooting defenseman, at least out of these X factors. Yeah, I'm excited to see what this guy could do. We'll probably sign him to his contract already, and he can play in the AHL as early as next season, because we'll probably let go of some AHLers just to make some room for guys like Danner. Wait, is Danner even AHL eligible? He is not. So maybe I won't sign him yet. Maybe we'll wait a year, and he might be up to like a 78 by next season. So, but there you go. There's our pick. Sucks not to get the forward in a sense, but I think Danner was definitely the right pick. There's another low elite in Desjardins who we didn't even see. There's a top 6 forward. Yep, Cutler was a low elite. That's exactly what I thought. There he is. He is a sniper low elite. Damn. That would have been a really good pick probably for the bottom 6, but 61 only is not what I was expecting. 64 is much better. So I think we got the better of the 2 options, but you could honestly make a strong argument for taking Cutler instead there. But still, not too bad of a draft so far. A lot of defensemen at this stage of the draft, which I would rather go with the forwards. So, oh, there was the low elite in Farrell. There we go. Now we could get a center here in Byron Farrell. Yeah, we're definitely taking this guy since he's guaranteed low elite here. So, welcome aboard. Give us some more offensive depth. 64 overall playmaker. And look at that. He's also got X factors. Ankle breaker, elite edges, shock and awe, and it's tricky. So, a good skater and a great deker, basically. He's 19 already, so hopefully he develops into being something decent. He's already got good passing at 80 overall passing-wise. His offensive awareness still needs to go up and on, not, but still that's a pretty good pick there. And he is AHL eligible, so there is a chance I play him at the AHL level this upcoming season just to get him some growth. But yeah, looking good in terms of this draft already. We got some good forward prospects coming in and all that type of thing. I don't think we need another goalie, even though this guy is 4 years away. He's already 20 years old. We probably just need more forwards that might end up panning out. Yuri Bobrovsky, Esa Santala, not that great. Yeah, it looks like the draft class quality's dropped off a lot. Let's sort by potential. Drew Cannon's a goaltender. Kluberton's 5 years out. Yeah, I don't know what we go with at this stage, because a lot of these players that are in this draft still do not look that great. Like, it was a good first few rounds, but the rest of this rounds look not that great. Medium top 6 guaranteed. I think I might as well just take him since he's guaranteed medium top 6. Obviously, he might not pan out since he's already 20 years old, but we'll take him anyway since he's got the potential to be in something decent. 55 overall, not great, but it's not that bad, I guess. Might become a good AHLer, or he might end up getting into the NHL at some point just because, who knows, we might end up losing some NHL players at some stage. This might be a little bit of a long episode, and I apologize for that because we do still have the re-sign stage and setting up our team for next season. Maxwell Foster. Let's take Maxwell Foster, why not? Yeah, the rest of this draft is pretty much a crapshoot. We just need to grab more forwards, and maybe some of them will pan out even if they don't have the potential to. 2 more picks left in this draft. Fringe starter, goaltender, Chance MacArthur. I don't really think we need another goalie prospect, so let's sort this by potential. That Cannon guy's still there, so let's just take him. Even though we don't need a goalie prospect, we'll take him anyways. Hey, medium starter, not bad. I don't know if he'll pan out, but it gives us another goalie option if for some reason we end up losing like Neil and stuff like that. If he pans out, that'd be okay. And our last pick of the draft, I guess we'll go with Zibanejad or Phaneuf, since both of them have 2-bar low elites. But both of them look like crap, though, so this is the thing. Or do we go with a low top 9? This guy's already 20, though, so he's probably not going to pan out. Let's go with Zibanejad here, I think. He's probably a low top 9, but we'll take him anyways. Boom. Low top 9, yep. 59 overall at 20. Not very great, but at least that is another offensive prospect. So there you go. That is our draft. I think we did really well. Hartnell's obviously going to help us out in terms of scoring right away. Danner is going to be a really good offensive defenseman, hopefully, in a few seasons, being a 64 overall low elite. Farrell's going to help us out probably at the AHL level right away, and hopefully he get to the NHL and be like kind of like a 3rd or 4th line center option for his team, because that would definitely help out our depth. And then we also got Mueller, who's got top 6 potential, Foster, Cannon, and Zibanejad, who are all average prospects, but we'll see if any of those guys end up making an impact with this team and hopefully getting this team to win a Stanley Cup. That'd be pretty awesome. So let's go back and grab our scouts, re-sign them up, because our scouts are definitely getting better in terms of the region. I don't think there was any scouts we wanted to get rid of in this franchise mode. This guy's a B-rated scout, but B-rated scouts are still better than having those C-rated scouts we had at the beginning, so we'll keep on to them. We got a couple more down here, B-, so they might drop off, so we might have to let go of some of those guys at some point. So there you go, there's our scouts. And we don't have any coaches to re-sign, but let's re-sign some players. We got 32 million only in cap space, which is not a lot. See, that's where it's getting a little bit iffy, is the cap situation. I'm debating about signing this Strachan long term as a top 6 defenseman. We're definitely going to qualify most of these guys, I think. Claxon, only 8 years at 1.7. Do I do that? I think I got to do this. Just test this out and see if I could get Claxon signed for 8 years at under $2 million. Because if we could get him for that, I think even as like a 4th line option, it might be a bad contract in some stage, but we'll definitely, I think, try this out. Because I wouldn't mind keeping him around for a long term. If we do the 85% trick, he wants like less than 1.5, but I'm going to give him 1.5 for 8 years. See if he accepts that, because I think that's a good contract for him. And then we'll qualify everybody else on this bottom 6. Yeah, we'll qualify everybody else on this stage just because or else they're going to ask for too much money. Some of these guys I might let go of, though. Like, yeah, D. Nicola is gone. We got to make room for youngsters. Voinov, I think, as well, is gone. Just got to make some room down there in the minors because I know it's going to be tough otherwise. And yeah, I think I want to give Strachan a long-term deal, but Bickle, what is he wanting? If I give him a 1-year deal, he becomes a UFA in 2 years. How was his season this year? 41 goals. He's a good goal scorer for sure, which is something we definitely need to hold on to. It's hard to determine how much I should give him. I know that Keith definitely needs a long-term contract here. He wants 7 years out of the gate. You know what? I'm actually okay with that. So let's give him a 7-year deal, because he is an important piece to this team right now, at least. Let's do 7 years at 9.48. I think I could get him for, which is basically 9.5. Yeah, 9.5 for 7 years. I think that's a good deal for him. And then what do we got here? Bickle and Strachan. We're gonna be like right up against the cap for a little bit though, which is unfortunate. Let's do a 6-year deal for Strachan and see if I can get him for the 85% trick. We're gonna have to probably end up letting some guys walk at some stage, which is gonna be unfortunate, but might be able to get him down to this price, he looks like, for 6 years. And then Bickle, I might honestly put Bickle for 1 year and then wait, but he's gonna probably want a lot and then he's gonna become a UFA. So let's do 6 years, maybe. Yeah, 6 years, maybe. And times that by 0.85. See if I can get him down to just over $10 million for 6 years. And yeah, 10.2 for 6 years. That's a lot of money to throw around in the free re-sign stage-wise. Neil's going to want a lot of money as well. We'll do the 2-year deal, but then we're going to have to give him a lot more money, so. And he might actually drop his asking price. No, he probably won't. We'll do 2 years at 2.3. We'll qualify the 2 of you guys down here. But yeah, we're going to be like kind of close to the cap situation, but it is what it is. Some of these UFAs we're going to have to let go of already though, which is good. So let me let go of Sloan because he's not going to pan out. Yeah, a lot of these HL guys we can honestly just let go of. Kuznetsov, what is you're wanting? Yeah, Kuznetsov is not going to pan out at that low league potential, unfortunately. He got to play in the NHL, and then Nikitin's also not going to really make it either. I'm going to go to the unsigned guys first and sign up Partnell to his ELC. And yeah, we'll also sign Farrell to his ELC so he can play in the AHL right away. But Danner, he won't be able to play in the AHL, so might as well just wait on him. Unless you guys think I should still sign him anyways. Yeah, I think the rest of these guys are honestly almost all gone. Which gets rid of a lot of our prospects, but at the same time it makes sense because a lot of these guys aren't going to pan out really. Cassian I'm going to sign to his ELC because he's actually developing so far. Abney has no potential, so let's get rid of him. Fleury will sign. We'll sign all these guys that have some potential. So 58 at 20. No, he doesn't look good at all, so we're going to let go of Bell. So he basically just gave a forward and 2 defensemen a contract, which means we're probably going to let go of Vallette here. Wait, Vallette was on our bottom 6 though, wasn't he, in the NHL? I think him and Grattan both played last season, didn't they? Yeah, they did. But eventually they're going to have to be let go of, so we'll do 1-year deals for the 2 of them, just because they might honestly play in the NHL level. $2 million though for Vallette's a lot of money. And let's just give it to him for now. And then the rest of these guys, yeah, I'm gonna let go of the rest of these guys like Little, Larson. Some of these guys have the potential to become something, but they aren't really doing that for us. These guys might be important, so we'll still sign them up as like depth defensemen. So I let go of Kuznetsov actually though. Goalie wise is good over there, so let's advance today, see if we get all these guys back, especially the like ones that I gave contracts to, like the RFAs, but a lot of those UFAs weren't that great. So okay, so let's continue on. Let's see if we got all those guys re-signed. Vallette rejected, Bickle rejected, but it looks like we did get Strachan signed to that 6-year deal, which is great. So yeah, we did get Strachan signed for that nice long-term deal. I think that's a reasonable price too, so that's great. The only problem with our cap situation is guys like Coley Minen are going to be getting a lot of money in a few, like next offseason. So yeah, we do have to start letting players walk in a sense, which in that case I think we honestly got to give Bickle his 1-year deal if he's not going to accept multi-years. Yeah, let's do a 1-year deal for Bickle, and let's give him exactly what he wants. Yeah, I guess We're going to be literally right up against the cap situation right now, which is kind of scary. But 1 year, let's do $10 million instead of 10.25. So 1 year at $10 million should do that. And the rest of these guys are all qualified. Vallette didn't accept, so we're going to let Vallette walk. But yeah, we have a lot of money spent on this team already. So Bickle has accepted that 1 year deal at $10 million. All these guys are qualified, and they should be able to take up that last of that $8 million we have. But yeah, this is kind of scary in terms of the cap situation. Like, I feel like we signed a lot of guys up way too long term. Like, Zikov's contract comes to an end in a few years only. Like 4 years only. And it will free up a lot of cap that way. But maybe we're not structuring this team well cap-wise. So we want to be able to do that. Because or else we're going to start losing our offensive depth. Like, Jorgensen's only got 3 more years left before that contract is done. But hopefully this is enough to get this team a Stanley Cup win. That would be nice. So let's sim over to free agency. See if some of our RFAs are going to start accepting. And we'll see what we got for a roster for next season, which hopefully is pretty good. I think it should be pretty good. Based on like the way it looked last season and then adding a few more pieces in, like the guy we just drafted. So there's Cox signing, which is good because he's one of those depth pieces on the bottom 6. Kaleen's accepted as well, and it's at Pustonen, Pusher. Good. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what this team could do this year. Like, is this team going to somehow just make it into a playoff spot or what? I think it's honestly doable to make the playoffs this year, but the question is if we are going to be able to do that. Also, is the depth scoring going to be better with the new addition that we just drafted, that type of thing. So, okay, let's readjust these lines because those are looking horrendous right now. Yeah, let's do that. So, let's move Zikov up to the second line center, obviously, because he's got great face-off numbers. We'll move Parrott to the top line, Bickle to the second line. Claxton should be down here. Hartnell could be there. Maybe. Yeah, something like that should be working. Claxton is the third line center. Festerini is the third line left winger, maybe. Yeah. And then we could go with something like Cox over here. And then Hull on the fourth line. Okay, that's not looking too bad. Our bottom 6 is definitely improving. Like, that third line's definitely improving. But that fourth line, still a little bit weak, but Hull's actually not that bad. But Walzer and Grattan definitely could improve. Walzer actually has the potential to do that, which is good, while Grattan doesn't. So hopefully we can continue adding more pieces for that bottom 6. Defensively, Zikov, Moroza, Harakala, Mainen, and Strachan, and Kronwall, it's saying. Do we have anybody scratched in the NHL right now, or no? We do. Okay, so Farrell or Kalinin. Let's see what we got here. Very good defensive defenseman, which is pretty important for a top 6 and more of a two-way guy in Farrell. Farrell's also a little bit younger. Nick Eaton's going to get sent down for sure. One of those guys is definitely going to take over Kronwall's spot, I'd say. Like, if we got rid of Kronwall out of the lineup, Kronwall's actually pretty good, so it's kind of weird to replace him. So I honestly might leave this question to you guys, but for now, I think we got to go with maybe Kalinin just because it makes a good shutdown pairing. Or we could try with Farrell. Yeah, it's honestly an argument for both because Kalinin's better defensively. Farrell also is younger and is more potential, well, has the same potential basically. So for now, I'll put Kalinin in there, but it's between him and Farrell to play on that top 6. And we will send down Kronwall and Nikitin to the AHL right now, because both those guys are not going to be playing, which is weird that Kronwall's not, because Kronwall actually had a really good season last 2 years. Like, he's been averaging, I think, around 20 points a year, but his time here is looking like it's almost over. So Nikitin's going down for sure, but as you can see here, Kronwall still is a minor top 4 defenseman, but he's been picking up like 20 points a year, which is not bad. So, but he is going to get sent down as well. And yeah, he's going to get replaced by either one of those. Whoever does not get the play, if it's either Farrell or Kalinin, will get sent down as well, because obviously we do not need depth pieces in the NHL. So there is our offense and defense Goaltending wise, we got Neal, and Cox is going to be starting as our backup. He's actually listed as a backup goaltender as 78 already, and he's only 19, so that's going to be very exciting. So there you go on that front. And what does our power play lines look like? Pretty good. Keith is our top line center. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Keith and Zekov. So we got our two-way forwards as our top two centers. Not bad. Defensively, let's go best lines down here. What do we got set up? Okay. So Farrell's our best prospect down there by far because he's also got the X factors. Grachev also is a low top 6 prospect. Defensively, let's just make sure we got the right guys in. Fleury's not going to pan out, to be honest. Persinger should be playing because he's got those abilities apparently. So we will take out, like Nikitin and stuff like that for Persinger. And then who else we got here that should be dressed? Probably Duncan. Taze is up to a 77, which is pretty impressive as a fringe starter. Carlson's going to be scratched, I think. Yeah, I think Carlson's going to get scratched for Duncan. And there you go. So there's the AHL team, so at least we have some prospects down there that hopefully end up developing to being something for like the bottom 6 or whatnot. But that is our team. So the only decision we have to make, which I honestly might pre-record next episode, is between Kalinin and Farrell. So I honestly might leave that up to a wheel spin at the beginning of the next episode if I do pre-record it. So there is that. Final few things. Let me take a look at what the top prospects are in the draft class for some reason, even though we might not even have to worry about this. Looks like a forward-heavy draft ahead of us. A couple of Swiss guys in the first round, which is interesting. So yeah, it's a lot of wingers and a couple centers. Interesting. And then there's also a couple defensemen up here, it looks like, which is not bad. But I honestly don't know if we're going to even have to worry about this draft lottery this year because this team might be a playoff team. We are listed as a seller still, apparently based on team status, but who knows what it's going to be like at the start of the year. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode. So next episode, we will simulate the entire season, and we'll see what this team could do. See if this team could eclipse 40 wins, and if they could even make the playoffs. So I'm going to think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.